So we are honoring Virginia McCaskey this morning, and we also have somebody right now on the phone with us who knows a lot, has his own history with her, and that is Lou Canellis. Lou, what are your thoughts this morning as we've just learned this news?
Well, it's crushing for the family. It's crushing for Bears fans. Cassie just touched on the importance of Virginia McCaskey being with this franchise for as long as she has. This is a woman that was born back on January 5th of 1923, guys. That was just less than 3 years after her father had founded the Bears, and back then they were founded as the Decatur Staleys. And she's been around. Cassie touched on what she has seen as an owner of the Bears, and now, you touched on what does the future hold. Well, she represents 13 family members that hold 80% of the Bears. So she votes for her family shares. The Bears organization is owned 80% by the Hallis family, the McCaskey family, 20% by Pat Ryan, and also Andy McKenna. Now, how the voting bloc is affected after her death is really unclear at this point, but I know George has been asked repeatedly, George McCaskey, chairman of the Bears, what the plan was, especially most recently because of the discussions about a new stadium for this franchise. And George has said that his mother had a plan that would keep the team with the family after her death. He has told me personally a number of times that the McCaskey family has no plans on selling this franchise. The NFL mandates that there's a succession plan, but the details are vague, and only the future will tell us to what's next for this Bears organization. But most importantly, let's respect the passing of Virginia McCaskey today before we worry about what happens in the future with this franchise.
Lou, I want to ask you, because at 102 years old, she wasn't around the building every single day like she may have been in the past, but I still recall, as we saw that video of her at that luncheon last March, I believe that was, and pictures of her during her 100th birthday celebration with the team on the field after practice one day. What are some of your more recent memories of Virginia McCaskey and her, I want to say, status? And we talked about her being royalty in the NFL recently around Hallis Hall and the Bears.
Oh, my gosh. She's so well respected around the NFL, Cassie. I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her during that 100-year anniversary that the Bears had, and it truly was one of the great interviews I've been able to conduct over the course of my 39-year career. She's a woman of grace, dignity. I saw her a number of times at the charity event that you referenced. I believe, I didn't see the video because I'm literally in my car in Lombard, but I believe the video that you showed was her appearance at the Misericordia luncheon that the Bears are so supportive of. And she's a quiet woman, but let me tell you here, she is as big a Bears fan as you're going to meet. And while she was able physically to attend games, get on the team plane, and travel with the Bears to various games, there was a time when she went to every away game. I know that her travel schedule was cut back recently, but she was there all the time. And I know that fans out there, I've heard them say, well, they don't care. You're wrong. No one was a bigger Bears fan than Virginia McCaskey and George McCaskey, and no one hurt as much as the McCaskey family, especially during a 5-12 season. So anytime I saw her, Cassie, it was a pleasure. It was an honor to be in her presence. Again, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her and do an interview with her, and just to share some time with Virginia McCaskey was an honor for myself.
I have to ask you about that interview, Luke, because I'm sure that was incredible for you to have that experience, especially, I mean, you are a true Chicago and a diehard fan, and you really appreciate the history that goes with the franchise and are somebody who truly appreciates Virginia McCaskey. I want to know what stood out for you during that interview. What will you remember, maybe not only just overall, but was there anything specific that really stands out that you learned?
Absolutely. What I remember was that she was so on top of it despite her age. And I lost my dad at 72. My mom passed away at 89. And Ms. McCaskey at her age was spot on. She was able to do this interview with me, flawless, was just a pleasure to talk to. That's what I walked away from saying, man, I hope I'm on top of it like that at her age. But, you know, as I said, she's a quiet woman, but she's so well respected. And I have a little history, Sylvia, because, you know, my family's had season tickets since the 60s when they were playing at Wrigley Field.
Wow.
So as I grew up, my dad shared stories of George Halas and Muggsy Halas, who was Virginia's brother, who, you know, took over the organization when George Halas passed away, and then when Muggsy passed away, and I believe Muggsy passed away in 1979, and then Virginia took over in 1983. My dad would talk to me about the McCaskey family, the Halas family. Ed McCaskey, Virginia's husband, was part of the hierarchy of the Bears organization when she took over. Michael McCaskey was president of the organization, and then he relinquished that title to Ted Phillips. I believe, I'm spitballing dates out, but I'm pretty sure it was like 2010 when, no, Ted had been president for much longer, but I just remember the succession plan, and now having the opportunity to talk to George and become friends with George, and I have the ultimate respect for George McCaskey. I love the guy. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story about George. Now, George held the position of ticket manager for the Bears organization, and as I said, my family's had tickets since the 60s. And when they moved into the new Soldier Field, there was no smoking allowed anywhere in Soldier Field, not even outside, nowhere. And I had given away a pair of my tickets to a friend, and I got a letter from George stating that he was going to take back my season tickets because the person I gave my tickets to was caught smoking.
Oh, my gosh.
I called George. I said, George, wait a second. This is Lou Canellis. I'm working on the broadcast. I am part of the Bears family. And he said, don't let it happen again. No smoking at Soldier Field.
Oh, that's a great story.
So, yeah, I have a little bit of history with the McCaskey family, and I really consider that an honor.
Oh.